The Chinese dream, announced Xi Jinping in November 2012, is the great rejuvenation of the Chinese nation. Since then, the Chinese dream has stirred hopes and expectations on the one hand, and has provoked questions and wonder on the other. A year later, to explore President Xi's grand vision, Chinese and foreign scholars and officials met in Shanghai for an international dialogue on the Chinese dream. It was organized by Minister Tsai Ming-Jiao, then director of the State Council Information Office, and I was privileged to participate, engaging with many old friends. What is your understanding of the Chinese dream?
我的中国梦，在不同的年龄的时候是有些差别。在上大学的时候，我觉得中国科学落后，所以我一定要成为自然科学家。我学习的是物理，以后在物理界服务了20年。以后由于中国改革开放的需要，我转到政界，从事政治活动、政治工作。值得回忆的，就是浦东的开发，我参与了，我曾经担任了那里的主任。这时候我的梦，就是把浦东建设成为一个现代化的国际城市。我以后又到了中央政府，做对外传播的工作。我的梦就是希望世界上能了解一个真实的中国，从而能够成为世界大家庭中一个受欢迎的一员。
所以，于是我们看到，最近200-300年来，整个世界是一分为二的。一部分国家成为现代化的先行者，以欧洲和美国为代表；一部分国家，包括大部分国家吧，包括中国在内，成为现代化的落伍者。在这种背景下面，中国人自然而然，他产生了一个强大的一个向往，就是怎么样结束这种落后的状况，重新回到世界发展的前沿上来。这可能是中国梦的一个酝酿的一个基础。中国梦它不是从天上掉下来的，也不是哪个领导人脑袋里拍拍提出来的一个概念，它是基于中国近代以来的实践，近代以来的文化，近代以来老百姓，他普遍的一种追求而形成的一种心理的导向，一种精神的向往，一种社会的理想。
他的梦想就是能得到硕士2个硕士考上学校噻。
我的梦想是通过自己的努力，在未来几年嘛，自己也能有一个小小的窝了。
最主要关心的是工资，工资涨上去了，我们可希望去将来有钱了去旅游。
我的梦想来讲就是做出更多真正好的美丽的3期脑床。
我希望所有的患者都能得到最好的医疗保障，享受到最优质的医疗服务。
Why is it that some foreigners, particularly foreign media, are a little nervous about the Chinese dream?
I think if we emphasize too much on the side of Chineseness, then others may feel this is a threat. Yeah. But so that's why I emphasize the dimension for its openness, inclusiveness, rather than only for China. It's all sort of national interests. Of course, it's for China, but this is definitely will also be shared.
国际媒体对中国的反应是多种多样的。对中国比较了解的人说欢迎中国梦，因为中国振兴对世界是有积极贡献的。但也有人有怀疑，你们能不能振兴，能不能做到？还有些曲解，他们觉得中国梦会不会是中国强大以后形成某种霸权？所以我们应当呢与世界交流，坦率地说出我们的想法，而不只是宏观的只说中华民族的伟大振兴，要指出我们包括哪些内容，哪些方面中国振兴的同时能够给世界带来利益，要仔细的说明。 要在我们的政策上体现更大的宽宏，对世界的交流要更加宽大和细致，这样使世界的人了解中国梦有益于世界，这是我们的任务。如果说在30年前，我们做的梦是中国如何自己兴旺起来，而今天做的梦不但要兴旺，而且要想到中国的国际责任。如果中国发展了，我们对周边国家、对世界各地，我们应当怎么来做贡献？中国的经济发展了，能够给世界更大的市场。中国的力量增强了，应该对世界的和平和安全提供什么有效的帮助？甚至于中国文化应当重新发挥光辉，为世界的文化宝库增添新的内容。
How would you begin to differentiate the Chinese dream from the so-called American dream?
I think the Chinese dream at first is a dream for everyone as a nation, as a country, as a civilization, and as a history. Second, like the American dream, this is also an inclusive dream which can be shared with many others, our neighboring countries. Second, the dream is not only for individual achievement, a dream which we learned something from our old history, from Western history, from American history, in order to avoid such like a zero-sum game, conflicts, military confrontations, and an exclusive dream to have whatever in perhaps good names, but then you exclude others. So this is the key, I think. And thirdly, the future orientation.
So in that sense, the Chinese dream is a larger concept, embedding the nation and international relations as well as the personal achievement, which the American dream in its classic formulation attempts to be.
Yes, indeed.
美国梦呢，提出的背景和中国梦提出的背景有些差异。美国呢是一个移民国家，全世界各地的人到美国了，到美国以后能够成功吗？他说，只要你努力，只要你奋斗，就能取得你的地位。同时，美国梦的提出呢，是在30年代大萧条时期提出的，那时候人们个人的奋斗十分重要。而中国呢，中国梦的提出呢，的背景是中国有历史上遭受外国侵略的背景，国家无能，国家衰败，人民没有希望，所以中国人首先提出来要民族振兴。
We're here in Washington, D.C. asking Americans, what is the China dream and what does it mean for the future?
What do you think of when you think of the China dream?
Prosperity.
Explosive growth.
The biggest up-and-comer there is
To have more of a development of middle-class culture.
So I see the Chinese dream as evolving sort of in parallel to the American dream.
Starting from nothing and escalating yourself to your wildest dreams.
Everything can be possible. It's a dream of owning your own home, of having money in the bank, of supporting your children and having a little to pass on to a next generation.
A generation ago,
China was still very much underdeveloped and a lot of people struggled to have really basic things. I think they have that urge to really climb up the ranks in terms of their salary and in terms of their material welfare.
To be able to make it and buy a house and have property of your own, but it's slowly turning towards hoping to also get a BMW and maybe a Maserati. So.
What do you hope for China in the future?
Generally a more harmonious society.
I want them to realize their dream.
And get the world to understand what their position is, I think, more accurately.
I hope that China's business renaissance will continue.
China has had a remarkable 30 years of growth on the basis of integrating with the world economy. And what I'd like to see is for China to translate that economic power that's built up over the past 30 years and translate that into global influence.
I'm really excited to see where Chinese culture takes the rest of the world because it's so different from American culture.
My hope would be that China continues to grow, that it solves its environmental issues in a decent way, and that its people can enjoy a higher standard of life going forward.
Uncovering the truth.
We are on our way to Liari, one of the most dangerous districts in the city of Karachi.
We were told that we're just about to cross the border between Malaysia and the Philippines.
Going the distance to get the story. We meet the real people with real hope.
For many young Thais, Muay Thai is one of the only ways to lift their families out of poverty.
Behind every corner is a great story. Assignment Asia. Expect the unexpected.
Full Frame, a new weekly talk show from CCTV America, featuring newsmaker interviews.
It's looking at a blank piece of paper and envisioning all the things you could put there and which is the one you'll choose, which is the best one.
Women are the most subjugated people on the planet. 70% of the people living on less than $2 a day are women.
Focused on the causes and events that are mobilizing people around the world to take action for change.
It really brings people together that way. It's not about the individuals, it's what 5 people can do together.
Plus, a look at new innovations in art, culture, science, and technology.
Depending on which study you look at, it's between 49 and 99% effective against preventing HIV transmission.
And social issues that connect us all.
You empower them now with information. That's education.
And close-ups on human stories.
Those layers of paint hold a lot of memory.
That make the extraordinary seem possible.
If we don't feel love and joy within ourselves, then we're not going to project that into the world.
And so that's a burst of energy, and that's new.
I'm Mike Walter in Los Angeles. Let's take it full frame.
Full Frame and CCTV America, taking you further.
Martin, in your vision that China will become the predominant country in the world, how does the vision of the Chinese dream articulate with that?
The Chinese dream is a recognition of where China's got to and the beginning, I think, of a new period in which the country can see itself becoming a lot more prosperous and also a lot more influential in the world. Then we're in a situation where we're witnessing 2 developments literally now moving in parallel with each other. One is the continuing transformation of China and China's transformation of the world, and the 2 things are happening, cheek by jowl.
The reality of China today that you know better than I do are social imbalances, pollution, corruption. We can make a long list.
Yes.
These are major obstacles to achieving the Chinese dream.
This is also, I think, why we need a dream in order to seriously deal with this disease and social problems. Without a dream, those problems will lead us to nowhere.
Which do you think are the biggest obstacles
for
to
China,
achieving the Chinese dream?
I think there are 3. From the very hard side, so very soft. So the hard is again the constraints of the energy, resources, environment, etc., land, water, all of those. And the softer side is precisely along with such development, rapid, times rush development with so many difficulties, then where are the values, ideas, norms? And in between, the third one is institutional improvement. Pension system, social security, welfare, legal, all of those. So we need a gradual but incremental institutional improvement. So along with, for these three kinds of challenges, we need a treatment. I use a term like institutional improvement, which again include social, political, legal, financial. So the NGOs, you can say partly a social organization, partly a legal issue, and partly a political issue. But all of those, again, I still, because of the challenges are huge, therefore we have to be careful. A kind of Deng Xiaoping's gradual approach is more realistic.
What I think is the biggest problem of the Chinese dream, and that is the creation of high expectations among the Chinese people themselves. I mean, they want healthcare, which is in not so good shape in China. They want it immediately.
Some are really urgent, I do think, such as pollution, such as healthcare for all. Second is corruption. You need to immediately deal with. And I think after the 18th Congress, especially the recent session, the third, it seems there has been a kind of a new thinking. Instead of dealing with corruption case by case, but rather to see more some kind of legal means or systems. For instance, independence for the local courts. Also, we have encouraged definitely more from the below and from the public and the media to be a sort of player to watch. This is also a very effective and sort of more sort of reasonable, rational means to deal with it.
The problems are everywhere. These are huge challenges, but let me just indicate one that I don't think has gotten enough attention from certainly foreign observers, and that is that this country is governed in about 40,000 territorial political units, from provinces to cities to counties to townships. The genius of the system over the past 3 decades has been in giving the leadership of each of those units considerable flexibility in how they're going to get things done, so that you could take directions, broad directions from a national level, but then make them make sense in your locality. Now, they're positing the need to change the development model, to change the role of government, to change the way the party itself operates internally. But they're relying on the same people to make those changes. So the major issue will be, how do you change the incentives sufficiently that these same people and their successors are prepared to act very differently? I think that's a very, very tough issue.
中国它对现代化道路的选择是由它自身的情况所决定的，而这条道路实际上和西方的道路是有区别的。这就告诉我们，人类走向现代化好像不是唯一的一个通道，它可以有除了西方以外的其他通道，而中国人就在走这条路。另外呢，在中国梦的指导下，我们现在对现阶段的一些弊端也进行了改革，比如说执政党的作风问题，它脱离群众的问题，我们整个社会存在的一些腐败问题，所以这些阶段性的问题，我们都在根据中国梦这么一个想法，在做重新的修复，这个非常重要。当然，更重要的是对中国未来中长期的发展，我认为中国梦呢有很大的意义。
Some are worried that to fully realize the Chinese dream will diminish the dream of perhaps other countries and other peoples.
我也注意到，国际社会确实有一些不光是不理解，甚至是比较负面的，或者是有妖魔化的解读。我觉得这也是正常的，因为中国的强大，中国的发展，在任何一个意义上来说，都是对原有既定的游戏规则、既定的利益范围的一个冲击或者一个影响。中国发展的其他人的蛋糕相对就会有变化。中国的强大了，中国发展了，对于有一些游戏规则的参与的程度，或者这个能够发挥作用的程度就会不一样。因此这使得原有结构上这个一些理解或者利益上的冲突，当然会有不同的反应。还有一些呢是对中国的变化发展，我觉得有很大的缺失，还是用非常陈旧的眼光，或者用这个成见叫 mind setting 这个来看中国的发展。因为在这些以往的资本主义国家或者是资本主义强国发展的制点里边，找不到中国模式、中国一党领导下的有中国特色社会主义制度的这个文献或者可以参照的解读，在他这个字典里边没有。因此，如果用他原来的版本，用他的字典来解读中国的话，他解释不通。这个同国际社会现有的理论制度冲突是正常的。我们有信心，我觉得中国还是有信心，用自己发展道路来说服世界，通过平等的交流、相互尊重的交流，实事求是的看事实，而不是从理念、从事实而不是从理念来交流，我就会逐步改变世界对中国的看法。我觉得这个是有信心。
We have been getting our products from the UK, and now we are heading that way to China because from our research it seems cheaper than the UK and the US.
Keep on doing what they're doing. I think there must be something that they're doing right. So they have to keep on doing what they have been doing over the last decade, and reach more into Africa.
We can learn a lot from China. They came from far. They almost become a superpower. Somehow you need China.
I think we should be pretty, what should we say, straightforward about this. Some countries, there will be a redistribution of power in the world with China's rise.
What happens when elements of the Chinese dream conflict with each other?
I'm sure we're going to see these conflicts played out, and it's getting more difficult, I think, but getting more complicated. I mean, the kind of tasks that faced Deng Xiaoping, relatively speaking, were much more straightforward. Mm-hmm. You could have, really, there were two main economic objectives, reduction of poverty and economic growth, and everything else took a back seat.
What are some of the other contradictions that the Chinese dream faces?
Key question is inequality, where China's moved from being, under Mao, one of the most equal societies in the world, equally poor. By and large, it was a very egalitarian society, mm-hmm. to becoming a very inegalitarian society, which China's got to find a way of dealing with it. And of course, it's not just an urban-rural difference. Within the great urban centres, there's a lot of inequality. This is very evident. So how they deal with this, I think, is going to be a very important test. That the Chinese dream is a concept and an idea and a slogan to sum up a political perception by the Chinese leadership that the time has come to move from one stage of development of China, which is personified by Deng Xiaoping, to a new stage of development. If it releases the energy and the imagination and captures the ambitions of the Chinese, then it will hasten that process.
The concern is what a wealthier and more powerful China will act like in the international arena. And as all of us know, that can go in a more constructive direction or in a more difficult direction. I don't think the United States worries about the fact that China is becoming stronger. I think our bigger worry would be if China were significantly failing to meet its aspirations. But along with becoming stronger, we're very concerned that China become not only become, but I should say, remain and enhance its role as a constructive player within a global system that currently exists, acting over time to make modifications to meet China's interests, as we do to try to promote American interests, but within the framework and modalities of an existing system. If China should seek to dominate Asia, or to do things that China now says it will never do, but if politics change with a new leadership 15 years from now and new opportunities, then of course that's an issue that we would be very concerned about.
这个中国梦啊，现在凡是中国人都在说，都很兴奋。习近平主席有一个概括，讲得非常的准确或深刻，就是这个中国梦嘛，就是我们要实现我们伟大的民族复兴。我们这个民族曾经很伟大，但是近代不行了，我们现在重新活过来了，我们还要站起来。那么，它同时就是每个人的梦。那么每个人都在这种实现复兴中都有人生，都能共同享有人生出彩的机会，都能够共同享有或自己的祖国或自己的民族，或自己的时代一起成长、一起进步的机会。
Here's a framework for the Chinese dream. 5 categories: national, personal, historical, global, antithetical. The national Chinese dream was defined by President Xi Jinping as the great rejuvenation of the Chinese nation, a moderately well-off society by about 2020, and complete modernization by mid-century, about 2050. The personal Chinese dream deals with the well-being of the Chinese people, material well-being, all the necessities of life, and psychological well-being for a life well fulfilled. The historical Chinese dream deals with China's culture and civilization, the need for sovereignty and stability, and the changing Chinese dream over time. The global Chinese dream deals with the benefits the world gets by China's development, a multiplier effect that the entire world can benefit from the higher standards of living of China. It also involves the concerns the world has about the Chinese dream. The antithetical Chinese dream deals with the tensions or contradictions inside the Chinese dream. For example, economic development, but on the other hand, social imbalances, pollution, corruption. The Chinese dream is the blueprint for China's future. Rejuvenating China benefits the entire world.